So it's the lighting settings of my apartment, but I wanted to talk about the Kawhi Leonard and DeMar DeRozan trade. I've been watching a lot of stuff off of YouTube and ESPN today about it, and a lot of analysts seems that Toronto took a risk. I don't really think they took a risk, and I'll tell you why I don't think they took a risk, and this is the reason why. That squad that they had with DeRozan and Lowry that they've had for quite a few years now was not going to go to the NBA Finals. They may have made the Eastern Conference Finals again this year. That's always possible. You know, you look at Boston, you expect them to be there if everyone's healthy, and Brown and Tatum progresses at their rates that they was playing at last year. You got Philly, which to me is still a young team, and you never know what young teams are going to do. I know that they had a great run this year and the way they closed the season, and they got to the second round of the playoffs with Simmons and Embiid, and I understand that. You got Washington, which no one really considers them a title contender, or probably not even an Eastern Conference contender. And even if they did get out of the East, there's no way they're beating Washington, or I mean beating Golden State. But I think Kawhi Leonard makes them better. And here's the reason why. I know everyone's saying, well, Paul George stayed in Oklahoma City and Kawhi may not. You know, different player, different personality. But that core that they had gets swept by LeBron James and probably the worst team he has ever taken to an NBA final. Ever. You know, you can compare this to the 2007 Cavs that got swept by the Spurs. Maybe, maybe not. But it's on that level. You know, there's no Kyrie. Kevin Love wasn't being Kevin Love. He was being a spot up shooter. All the role players sucked. For a better lack of term, it was overpaid. I mean, I do like Rodney Hood, but uh, I don't really think he's going to make or break a championship team. He could be a very important piece, but you need a lot more than that. They swept Toronto with this core that's been together. Toronto got beat a couple years ago by the Wizards when they had Paul Pierce. Bradley Beal wasn't at the level he was at. John Wall wasn't at the level he was at. And they traded a top five, at best, a top five shooting guard for what was arguably the second or third best player in the NBA in Leonard. If you look at what everyone's saying, well, last few years, DeRozan's been an MVP candidate. Leonard's been an MVP candidate for years. He has carried that Spurs team. Last couple of years, you're looking at Finals MVP, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, All NBA Defensive Player. A lot of that could be said to Greg Popovich. I mean, I guess really we're going to get to see where Quad's at without Popovich this year. So that'll answer a lot of questions. But keep in mind, when everyone's saying, well, if he leaves, this team wasn't going nowhere. Maybe Eastern Conference Finals, that's it. Keep in mind, they got swept by a team in Cleveland this year that had LeBron James and LeBron James only. LeBron James ain't on that roster. Cleveland don't make the playoffs, and if they do, they're a very weak 8 seed that gets swept with Kevin Love. They likely don't make the playoffs, even in the weaker Eastern Conference. It was LeBron. They got swept by a team that was took to 7 games that had their 2 best players on injury reserve in Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. Keep that in mind. Boston almost beat Cleveland, who swept Toronto with the same core if they would have kept DeRozan and not got Kawhi Leonard. So how are you lose? You look at the best NBA shooting guards. Of course, obviously, the best is going to be James Harden. I would throw Klay Thompson number 2. I would throw Oladipo or Bill number 3, number 4, and then you have DeRozan. DeRozan, he's a fantastic offensive player, but he can't shoot threes. He's not a good defender. I mean, he has that mid-range shot, but mid-range shot ain't what it was 10 years ago when Kobe was lighting everyone up. You know what I mean? With the evolution of the game and stuff. So this team just it had no direction. I know they traded a young player in Jakob Pearl that did rebound and was good at defense, and that's one of the things San Antonio need. I think San Antonio walked out pretty good. But all this is DeRozan makes San Antonio a Western Conference title contender. No. They may get past the first round. I can't see them getting past the second. And unless injuries happen to some of the top teams or Golden State, there's no way in hell they're sniffing the NBA Finals. They'll get swept in the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors or the Rockets with DeRozan on there. He's not prime time. He don't show up in the big moments like Kawhi does. So, 1 year rental, that's true. A lot of things go into that. Will Kawhi resign? Only time will tell. I mean, I know that reports are that he wants to be in LA. He wants to play with LeBron. He wants to play with the Lakers. He's from that area. But did we not just go through this last year with Paul George about how Paul George was going to the Lakers? OKC had no chance in hell, no chance in hell of re-signing Paul George. None. Wasn't going to happen. He was going to go play with Magic. They was going to get LeBron, which, like, hey, I'll say, that's a different video for a different time, but I will say this. I am proud of my Lakers for signing LeBron James. I really did not think he was going to go to LA. Just being serious. I know he has his businesses and stuff, but you look at the past few years in the history that they've had since Kobe had got hurt with bringing in free agency. I know it's different management, but a lot of people wasn't going there. So I get that. So I give them props. But we just went through this. Kawhi gets to Toronto. They get hope. They get to the NBA Finals. That's an automatic win. And if he gets his team to the NBA Finals one year, he can do it again. I mean, granted on how they build around him and how everything works. I know Lowry's getting older. No one really knows what Ibaka has left. Siakam's young. Valanciunas is, I get that. But this is a team that could easily make the NBA Finals the next 3 or 4 years if things just go their way with Kawhi. I mean, of course, now that requires resigning them and everything, but it's going to be interesting to see. Now, if my early Finals positions right now, not knowing what the season's going to bring, injuries, if everything stays like it is, it's always going to be Warriors and Celtics, which I really believe that it should have been last year. And would have been last year if Kyrie and Gordon Hayward wasn't hurt. If Kyrie wasn't hurt, they beat Cleveland in 7 games. If Gordon Hayward's healthy and he's playing like he played on the Jazz, Cleveland don't even likely take them no further than 5 or 6 games. The Cavs got very lucky that they made the finals last year. And they lost LeBron because of their own stupidity, but that's not here or now. We're talking about the Raptors. So what can the Raptors do? I say Max Dillon's finals. I don't think that this team is beating the Warriors. I don't think that any Eastern Conference team's really beating the Warriors. Boston may play them hard. I still think that with them being so young, they're at least another year away from contending, like when they lose Thompson and or Draymond Green. Then you're looking at something different. Until then, Golden State got it this year. But to me, you get to the Western Conference, you get to the NBA Finals with Kawhi Leonard, it's a win. Toronto, if you leave, you rebuild, you trade Lowry, you blow it up. You may get lucky and re-sign him. But these are my thoughts. I want to know what y'all think. And give me your insights. Do you think Toronto won or lost the trade as it is right now? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe.